Daryl Sizemore from Remax Realty, Indy Home Pros.
Looks over the middle, second guess aspires, throws, does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one! Another one!
Oladipo!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Worked out by Burke, bounces into Cody, puts it up, scores!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in on this Friday to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Looking forward to another great day and heading off to, it's a holiday weekend. I forgot all about that. Let's see. Brian Evans is going to be on with us today. Nick Coffey from KRD in Louisville. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com. We will get caught up on any and all recruiting news and everything else. The Indianapolis 500 is this weekend. The Coke World 600 is this weekend in Charlotte. It's 1,100 miles of racing on Saturday. That should keep you busy for several hours. Herman, let's see. The Herman Mack Trophy, Victor Becerra from Indiana Soccer ended up runner-up for it's the Heisman Trophy of college soccer. It's the Herman Trophy. Of course, had Indiana won, maybe that would have changed. I don't know. But congratulations. That's a gigantic honor. So congratulations to him. Let us know what's going on, what you're thinking about. Hit us up on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. Whether you're following us on YouTube, you can do so at Indiana Sports Beat Radio or on radio if we're on a station where you are, or on podcast. You can find us anywhere that you podcast as well. Welcome in. We appreciate everybody, of course. Brunel not with us today, but we've filling in with plenty more and plenty to talk about. We talk a lot about the name, image, likeness. Bernie Sanders introduced a bill for NCAA student athletes to collectively bargain. Now, I'll be honest with you. I have no idea how college sports is going to survive. Name, image, likeness is going to kick their butt. I was just looking at this a minute ago. You've got 6 states that have passed that already. That goes into effect July 1st. And there is nothing to supersede that. There is nothing to stop that law from going into effect. Or those states and schools within those states, 5 of which are SEC football and basketball, I guess you should say now, states. There's nothing to stop those college kids in those states from being paid starting July 1st. The NCAA and Muppet Mark Emmert has screwed this up so badly, and they give this moron an extension. Millions of dollars. It's golly. I'm working in the wrong end of sports business, I can promise you that. We'll talk about the blackout being lifted for the Indianapolis 500. Thank you, Mike. But I am really concerned about college athletics. Everything we talked about this yesterday, everything hitting at once, too. The one-time transfer rule, name, image, likeness. You can have a kid on a team that you've had for 3 years, and all of a sudden, somebody's got a great deal for, hey, man, I got you a great deal set up here. Just come over here next year. But it's going to turn into the wild, wild west. And the NCAA has proven time and time again they cannot do a thing about anything. I don't even know why the NCAA exists, to be honest with you now. They are pointless. They are a pointless organization, and why schools allow them to suck off the millions of dollars that they do, and why Muppet Mark Emmert is allowed to be paid the millions of dollars that he is mind-boggling to me. When they're in these situations constantly and nonstop because of his lack of leadership. Millions of dollars constantly poured out by these schools. Give it to me. Hell, I'll take it. I'll do something good with it. I don't know what, but I'll do something good with it. Not only have 6 states already passed legislation, 10 have passed it that it's going to go into effect within the next 4 years, 10 more. So the NCAA has that little bit of room for those, but they don't for Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, New Mexico, and Arizona. I think I'm missing a school. There was 5 SEC schools, I believe. But regardless, man, I'm really concerned about the future of college athletics, of basketball and football. I don't think women's athletics is going to be affected that much. You already have the elites. Tim is listening to us from the Kentucky Horse Park Campground in Lexington, Kentucky. That's a great place to be listening to us from. Thank you for listening, as always. But yeah, it's just I'll talk to Brian about this, but he's a business person. But this is going to be a mess, people. The Indianapolis 500 will be seen in Indianapolis. I'm going to talk to Nick when Nick Coffey comes on from KRD. The Derby is shown on TV every year in Louisville. There's never a talk of a blackout. Now, of course, they usually get there 150 to 75,000 people a year. Indianapolis gets there 225 to 300,000. But the thing is, Indianapolis can wait to see how many more can we get. How many more people can we get? And they don't want to start the tradition, and I get it, of people getting lazy, because they do get lazy and stop coming to the track from here. And I understand that. If you lose your home base or when you start to lose the part of your home base attendance, that will begin a fracture. I don't have a problem with them doing that. It's a much gigantic, you could set Churchill Downs inside of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Big difference. So, but the blackout has been lifted for only the 5th time in history. We'll be watching the guys on Sunday. And then, of course, NASCAR later that day, the Coca-Cola World 600 in Charlotte. Man, there's been a couple of guys that have attempted that double, racing in both of those. Tony Stewart was one of those. Back in the day. What else is going on for you guys? What do you got planned this weekend? These things sneak up on me. We're not going to be on Monday, by the way. So, sorry, we're going to take off. Man, we don't usually do that, but all the guys are working so hard. So I thought we'd give them a day off. So there's that. Alec Lasley is going to join us in our next segment, and looking forward to talking about, because John, we got all those clips from Coach Woodson that we're not playing. So talked to Coach Woodson the other day. First of all, I asked him about his golf game. Last Saturday, I played golf at a different course from Eagle Point, and I ran into Coach Woodson and Quinn Buckner for a second, but I had a chance to ask him about that on the presser the other day. You can already see the difference in personality in Woody and the previous administration. But let's hear the golf clip, John. Coach, how's the golf game? Did Quinn get you on the course Saturday?
Well, Quinn and I, we go back and forth, Scott and I and Fergie and Dr. Rink. We don't even keep score. I did though Saturday. I'm trying to work on my game, which is awful right now. What little I do play, so it's all good.
You, hey, Mike, couple small questions. What do you shoot? What did you shoot Saturday? What kind of golfer are you?
Well, when you're watching Tiger Woods, you watching me. I'm a low scratch player. Should have been on the PGA Tour probably. No, I'm an awful player. I'll shoot anywhere from 85 to 100, but I have a good time.
Oh, just right there. Cracking a joke. That's the first joke cracked from the IU basketball coach's desk in, I can't tell you, long time. But down to earth, you can see approachable. You want to talk about not being able to relate to kids? Give me a break. The dude is just down to earth like anybody else. And funny, easy. He chose to do that presser. He was also asked. I should have had John just keep playing that clip there because the next question was why are you doing this? Why are you meeting with us? That's the one. I don't know if you can find that one, John, because it was right behind that last answer that we just heard. But he said, because I know you guys have a job to do, and that it's okay to meet with you guys. That he knows it's a part of it. Wow, what the hell? We're going to be in normal times at Indiana. This is crazy. It's nuts. But that's also him coming from the NBA. They don't try to control everything at the NBA level. They know that there's just things that have to be done, and it's amazing. John, what was the next clip we were going to play from that? Go ahead and play it. I can't remember, but with what you have coming back, you talked about, you only know really about those guys because you can see them, but you haven't even really been able to work with them. But what you know about what you have coming back and what you've seen coming in, do you have an idea of planning for the future?
Well, again, it's hard to, I'm going to be honest with you guys, with this portal, it's hard to plan because you just don't know, what player is going to be happy once the season's over with, and I'm hoping to make everybody happy. I know I can't play everybody big minutes, and I don't know how deep I'll go this season until I actually get out on the floor and put it together. But guys like Finney and Galloway and Geronimo, these are guys that they got to get better. I got to push them to get better, for us to be better. That's going to be important as we move forward. And these new guys that are coming in, everything is new for them. They're going to be playing with different talents. So it's a matter of how quickly these guys are able to pick up things, because I'm going to throw not a lot of things at them like I would do it at the NBA level. I got to slow walk it, I think, a little bit, but I'm just interested to see how quickly they can adapt to what I'm trying to give them and my staff. That's going to be important moving forward.
Well, one thing is they won't have to worry about is forgetting the pack line defense. So that is already forgotten, whatever that was. Hey, Alec Lasley is going to join us next from the Hoosier.com. We'll get caught up on recruiting and all that entails from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're Alec Lasley.
How's it going?
It's going all right.
That's
Did you
good.
complete that? Did you do that Rivals thing?
Which Rivals thing?
The thing with Josh Hembolt?
No, I touched base with them, so we're trying to figure out a date for it.
Yeah, there's not a lot that you need to really get from it, but there was a couple things that he like how we, and I've said to do it, like putting dollar signs for premium content when we post it.
Oh, on social media, you're saying?
Yeah. He says don't do that. He says fuck them. Let them.
Yeah, I haven't done that a whole lot. I know I see people do it. Sometimes they don't.
Well,
so
I suggested it because I was like, well, people get mad. I'm like, well, you know what? Then get a subscription.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's why when we do put the premium ones out there, we always try to put in one of the promos attached to that article.
Yeah.
So
yeah. What else is going on?
no,
Anything?
some 23s are scheduling some more unofficial visits. So a couple of those guys, but obviously June 1st is when coaches can hit the road. June 15th is when coaches can now directly reach out to class of 23 guys. So middle of June is beginning. Obviously, probably the next 2 weeks is going to be super busy in that aspect of it.
I wonder how much, I mean, the recruiting is going to, well, there's no sense in having this conversation now, but, the radio modules. Those
Yeah,
have
I know.
got
I
to
emailed.
get fucking fixed.
I emailed
I know
Michelle. last night.
And I met a guy last night that lives here that is a specialist, that graduated from IU, but he just moved back from Rensselaer, but he is like an SEO specialist and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to try to get him to help us, but he can also, it's how we run. Like both of those modules can be live, we can use them for so many different things. It's just however you plug in the information. Because I know we carried a nighttime show once live on the site. I remember that. The guy from Michigan did it, but
yeah, I still don't know why that's the only thing that freezes up on the back end for me. It's very weird. I can edit anything else on the homepage, but for some reason that radio module just freezes every time. So I don't know.
All right, here we go.
But yeah,
Right,
I
who's
reached
to go
out.
with? Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink.
today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
How is your Friday going? The beginning of a long weekend. Alec Lasley from the Hoosier.com joins us. Alec, how are you, sir?
Doing good. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. I'm looking forward to doing not a whole lot. Well, I've got a graduation party to drive to and back from tonight, unfortunately, to start the weekend. But other than that, it's just planning on doing a whole lot of nothing. But that's not the case for the coaches of all the different staffs. The Indiana basketball staff has been busy. We talked to Coach Woodson this week, which was a joy because he was asked why he was doing that. And he's like, well, I got to talk to you guys. You got a job to do. It's okay to talk to you all. So that is a breath of fresh air. He cracked jokes. It was just, I saw him on the golf course a week ago. I mean, this is a whole, I don't think people can understand the difference. It is a night and day difference in the environment.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, just from how he interacts with the media to the whole staff just being a lot more open and willing to talk to, especially the local guys. It's like you said, kind of night and day from the past few years. But it's good to, especially now entering his first summer, a pretty important summer for not only him, but the Indiana program in general. Just to get a little bit more insight on kind of what he's looking for in the next month here with workouts starting June 10th. So here in the next 2 weeks, but really kind of how he feels about his roster before he can actually get everyone on the floor. He had a little bit of insight, not too much, but a little bit on the Jerome Hunter situation. So it's really good to see kind of where he's at, where his mind is, and where the whole roster is and all the relationships and how he's trying to build those relationships before the full rosters on campus, which we know, the freshmen are starting to arrive here next week. And then Miller Kopp, probably the last one to arrive June 12th, I think he said. So everyone's starting to get to campus. Everyone's starting to get back in the swing of things. And it'll be good to have a full summer this year compared to last year.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing. Coach does not know what he has. He knows what he has, but he doesn't. The guys that are here, he has seen. He's seen them on tape, of course, and he's probably been able to watch them. The guys that are not here, which I don't. How many is that? 6, 5, 6?
5.
Yeah. But they're 5 important people. It's not like it's 5 freshmen coming in, which in the past that was the case. And you're like, it's not as big a deal because they're not going to have as much of an impact. all 5 of these guys are going to potentially have and probably have an impact on this team. And there's going to be starters in that 5 probably. That's a major difference.
Yeah, and he talked about it. I mean, getting used to seeing kind of the strengths and weaknesses of his team. He doesn't know that much of the strengths and weaknesses at this very moment, just because he hasn't been able to get on the floor with them in a full 5-on-5 setting. So he talked a lot about watching a lot of their film, seeing exactly, he touched on what Rob Finney can and some of his weaknesses are right now. He talked about Trace Jackson Davis, Race Thompson, Trey Galloway, talked about a bunch of guys, but it's just so interesting to see all the work that he's having to do on film compared to knowing what he already has. And so I think June 10th, that first day when everyone's able to get there, get on the floor, is going to be a super exciting time for obviously the whole Indiana fan base, but I think specifically Mike Woodson, because now you'll really start to see and hear exactly what he's trying to implement. Because obviously up to this point, he has a goal and he has expectations of what he wants to do with his roster, but until he actually gets on the floor, he doesn't really know what he has. So it's going to be interesting to see, what happens in the first few weeks and what we're hearing from some of the guys. About kind of the style of play that he's implementing, but also how he's running practice, how he's kind of running the off season here with recruiting also picking up. So it'll be a fun time to see everything kind of come together.
Yeah, defense. Talk about defense. He was asked about that. We played that clip yesterday just for comedic purposes, if nothing else. I would love to play that one again. But defensively, these guys are going to be in for an awakening too. That pack line hybrid, whatever that was that we saw, you're going to see a defensive team. I mean, back in the day, they just played a basic man-to-man. Worked pretty good. But you have to be coached. You have to be taught, guided, developed. You can't just put a system in and think people are going to match it. It's going to be a combination, not just of a different offense, but a different defense, because defense is critical. It's critical in the NBA. I mean, people think that they don't play defense in the NBA a lot. Well, that's not quite true. They do, because if you look at the teams that win, they're usually the better defensive teams.
Yeah, and I think the main thing that Coach Woodson talked about a couple of days ago when he talked to the media was, obviously he knows he has 13 guys who are really high caliber players, but he also knows and expects a certain level from each and every one of those guys. And he knows he doesn't need to just play favorites, maybe, what the staff had to do just because they weren't as deep and as talented. And so if these guys aren't coming in and aren't playing the type of defense and the type of offensive system that Mike Woodson wants to run, he doesn't have to play them. So I think you look at what he's trying to do and the type of versatility that he has, not only playing that hard-nosed defense is going to open up a lot more for the offense, but it's just going to make Indiana a lot more fluid and a lot more versatile in what they're trying to do, getting out in the open floor, getting out in kind of secondary break opportunities with all this athleticism that the team is going to have this season is going to be night and day from what Indiana's had in the past. And so I think, he touched on it and said that while everyone's excited to see what the offense is going to look like, it's going to start on the defensive end of the floor, because he knows how important the transition game is, which the previous staff seemed to kind of lack in. So I think the defense is really going to carry Indiana moving forward, but it's going to be in a much different way than what the Indiana fans are used to.
Yeah, and he was also asked about Jerome Hunter leaving. And I'm trying to find the daggone transcript because I don't think John has that clip pulled. Oh, there it is. I don't know how far down that was, but it was made clear that
I have that clip if you need it.
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and play it instead of me talking about it.
I guess kind of speaking of shooting, I wanted to ask about I guess what happened with Jerome Hunter. I know you had a statement about that, but I wanted to see if you could tell us any more about just what led to his departure and what do you think it costs you, losing another guy that's sort of a bigger wing that can shoot.
Well, again, I won't get deep into this because I like keeping stuff like that in house. we decided to part ways, and he landed on his feet in Xavier, so I'm very excited about that. And talking about shooting, I mean, he was a guy that could make it, but his percentage didn't show that, and we didn't mix the way I think I wanted it to be between he and I. And that's no knock against him, because I think he's an excellent kid, and we decided to part ways, and he understood, and I understood, and he left here and still landed on his feet at Xavier. So all I can wish him is nothing but the best, and we got to worry about the guys that we have in our uniform as we move forward.
The best thing I like about that clip, first of all, is his honesty. He's not BSing. And, he's asked about somebody that can shoot. And I'm like, well, no, he can't. And then Coach Woodson says, well, no, his percentages does not show that he's a shooter. He's not. He was not a slasher, not a shooter. I didn't think that they were losing anything. As a matter of fact, they gained. You gained Miller Kopp. So you have everything that they lost, they replaced with better. Armand Franklin, they're better in that position. They've gotten better with every replacement has gotten better. And that is the difference of talent recognition and I don't know, but obstinance of just not realizing that you can't, the talent that you've recruited is not good and you're not developing them and you can't see that. I don't know what was going on there, but this is a realization of that. And this coaching staff saying, let's get it out.
I think the biggest thing that he touched on was, a lot of people looked at Jerome Hunter as a shooter, but you look at his stats over the first few years he was at IU, and he was a career 32% 3-point shooter. So that's not gonna help anyone on the floor, especially when he was kind of trying to fit that specific role for this team last year. And we saw at times it worked out. He had some good stretches where he was able to knock down probably the most threes in a certain game stretch for Indiana, especially when Armand Franklin was off of the floor. But moving forward, I mean, you look at the talent and the players on the perimeter for Indiana, and Jerome Hunter was going to have a tough time finding the floor just because he didn't have a specific role. And that's one thing, I've touched on it before. That's one thing that Mike Woodson has brought to this roster is everyone is going to have a specific role. He brought in specific guys for shooting. He brought in specific guys to man the paint. He brought in specific guys to run the team and run the offense and be the primary ball handlers. And that's one thing where I think coming from the NBA is so different, because you have designated roles and you have the best teams have people who buy into those specific roles. And Jerome Hunter, whether or not he bought into it or not, Mike Woodson probably didn't see him fitting one of those specific roles. And so at that point, it didn't make a lot of sense to keep someone who was going to eat up more playing time for potential freshmen, or in this specific scenario, another transfer to come in to play a specific role. And that's exactly what happened. And that's obviously how Indiana's going to be running things moving forward.
And not only do they play those specific roles, they have to own those roles. They have to challenge anybody that comes near them for that role. And that has to be the level of competition. It has to be a 2-deep competition, maybe 3 at each position, because not only do you want the next wave to be as good, but you want that next guy to be fighting to be that starter, which pushes the second guy, but it's going to push your starter. There's not been any push. There's not been, again, we go back to development. There's not been any of that. And that's changing. He talked about being recruited over. And what that means is when you sign with a school, you come someplace and you're a 6'7" wing. And you back in the day, they would ask, okay, are you not going to recruit over me or whatever? That means they're not going to get another 6'7" wing in your time frame. That he just said, that's out. Man, it's up to you to do what you got to do. I'm going to give you the opportunity. I'm going to give you all the resources and the help, but I'm not going to guarantee you anything, nor should it be. That is what creates greatness, is earning it. And this program is back on its way to earning its way back.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you're going to see in practice because, again, you look at how deep this team is, 13 guys who can play significant minutes across college basketball. You have the three new transfers coming in who have proved that they can play significant minutes at a big-time Power 5 program in the past. You also have Parker Stewart coming in who's shown that he can be a valuable player at any level up to college basketball game. So you have guys who have been there in the past. You have freshmen who are coming in with maybe a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and then you have sophomores like Christian Lander who's looking to prove people wrong compared to kind of what is expected to do going into last year. So right there, you have 7-8 guys who are coming in looking to prove everyone wrong and set the expectation really high because the expectations are very high for those guys coming in. And then you have the other returners who are ready to fight to make sure that they don't lose that starting spot because, again, Mike Woodson is going to play the guys who are going to compete at the highest level but are also going to get the job done. And he's not going to be afraid to sit guys because there needs to be a little bit of tough love with this group just because they do have a lot of talent on the roster now. Which you couldn't say in previous years. But at the same time, that talent's only going to take you so far, but it's going to start and end on the practice floor. And I think that's what you're going to see a lot of this year from 1 to 13 down the roster.
Yeah, looking forward to that getting started. There won't be a lot of news coming out, but I think that we're going to be able to meet with Coach Woodson pretty frequently, and he'll be honest with us. That's the great thing, which is great for you all, great for the audience, because you'll get to hear what's going on. You don't have to stop guessing. That guessing, because that was right about 0.1% of the time, and getting to hear the actualities. What's next? What's new? We've got AAU getting ready to start back up, visits getting ready to start back up, coaches getting ready to get out on the road, but there's not a lot to do recruiting wise on the basketball side. The transfer portal has changed that so much, and they don't, like when I ask them, they don't even know what they're going to need next year. So, I mean, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, AAU is going to pick up more here in the next few weeks. You have a couple live evaluation periods at the end of June as well. But yeah, coaches will get back out on the road starting June 1st. So here in a few days, that'll be the first time that they can actually see recruits and players live in person in the past 14, 15 months. So it'll be even more important for Mike Woodson and that staff to really see exactly who they want for this roster, because again, they're looking at now very specific players, and they're probably only going to take, maybe 1, 2, 3 guys for the next few classes, because he's going to lean so heavily into the transfer portal, especially if obviously the 3 guys who come in this year perform at that high level. And I think you're going to see that more frequently. But the biggest thing now will be June 15th, when coaches can now start to directly connect a class of 20 recruits. Before they could talk to them, but they had to go through a coach or a parent, or the players had to actually contact the coaches themselves. So now you're going to get a lot more communication, and the class of 23 is really going to start to ramp up their recruitment now, moving into the fall here. Probably, I think there's 5 confirmed class of 23 recruits who will be visiting Indiana in June. So add that on to the already 6 or 7 guys that are going to be visiting for the class of 22. And you have 15, 16 guys who are confirmed that'll be on campus in June and early July for Indiana. So it'll be a very, very busy month, but it'll be a really good month for Mike Woodson and that staff to see kind of what they're working with, and then prioritize some of these kids and start to land some of these higher caliber recruits that they're going after.
Yeah, Tony brings up a good point. Last year, or last 4 years, no one was scared. You look at guys like Jerome Hunter that just transferred. He had no fear last year. Well, he didn't start. Well, but still there was no fear he was going to play most of the time. That's gone. And I think that was one of the things. And yeah, you have to fight for minutes to be good enough to be on the court. But it's looking just, it's going to be an exciting fall. Football, you got all the football-wise recruiting, that's going to be a crazy summer. Those guys getting back out for the first time, and the numbers are substantially larger of what you're going after. You've got so many different, I don't even know how many coaches, 11, 12 coaches all over the place. Going to talk to guys, haven't been able to do that for quite some time. A lot to be made up there. That Indiana's recruiting and football-wise, they're not behind, but they've got to continue to raise that bar. They are developing talent, but they now also have to bring in, and they have been, but they've got to bring in elite talent. I'm waiting for them to get that first 5-star and see things really start to clip there.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fun time for both Indiana sports, but I think you're seeing a lot more now Indiana football going after a lot of these high 4-star players and 4 stars all around. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see when they land their first 5-star, because it's not, it's a matter of time at this point. It's not too far-fetched to actually think that could happen compared to 4 or 5 years ago, where Indiana was just trying to get any sort of player to get to their program. So it's been great to see the turnaround that Tom Allen's obviously had for Indiana football, and all the top recruits that are now super interested in going to Indiana and at least visiting. And just the job that he's done has been obviously remarkable.
Yep, I listed, we'll talk about when I come back, they listed some times for the first 5 games of the season next year. We'll talk about that. What else do you have coming up next at thehoosier.com?
Yeah, again, Friday, we have our Friday recruiting notebook. So we have some good tidbits on some 2022s who are trying to schedule some visits, some 23s that just did schedule some visits for June. So we'll have another loaded recruiting tidbits for the site here, probably coming up in a few hours.
All right, man. Looking forward to it. Have a great weekend, holiday weekend. Big plans for you?
Not a lot. Enjoy the weather. Play some golf. We'll watch a little bit of the Indy 500, but yeah, and enjoy the holiday weekend. Just looking forward to that.
As well. Thanks so much, Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Take care.
You betcha. Have a good weekend. What was it I was going to mention? John, what was it I mentioned to him at the end? Daggone it. Something I was going to talk about.
You're talking about the football schedule.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the things. We could take a break here, I guess, or let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll do that and come back and talk about. They released the first 5 games, the times for those, and the television, all that. We'll talk about that and much more. Brian Evans is going to join us and more after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for...
I messaged Brian. He hasn't gotten back to me.
We're getting better at those at the breaks now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he said around. He may not be till like 10.
Okay. Well, that's fine, because I told Nick 10:15. So.
Yeah.
Did you see my text about how? Wait, maybe I didn't text you this. Hold on. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you were planning on using him for any overtime, but he said he's only got 10, 12 minutes. Nick does. And I figured that was fine, but I wanted to go ahead and let you know.
Yeah, no overtime today.
Clips I have, just to recap, because I know you didn't know. I think I forgot to tell you I had Jerome Hunter. But I've got Rick Bozich, Trevor Gershmal. We already used yours. We already used the golf one. We just used Jerome. And then the one you just asked me to get, Greg Doyle's question, I have that now too.
What was that one? Why do you do this?
Why did you do the press conference? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're loaded still on ones you can use if you feel free. Brian's email was brian@aurorasleep.com, correct? That's what you sent me. I just wanted to make sure that's where it needed to go.
Yeah, whatever I sent you, because I think I sent you the whole.
Yeah, and that's the email that was on there. I was just wanting to make sure that's the email it needs to go to.
Did you text him?
I did, just to let him know it's there. And actually, what I might do is I'll send him the link to his texts in case he needs to join by phone instead. I'll do that whenever we come back from break, since we got less than a minute left. There, here we go.
Your fans, whether you're looking for a new or a used vehicle, Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington's got you covered. They're Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. For deals like this, how about a new 2020 Honda Civic LX front-wheel drive lease for just $180 a month? Or a new 2021 Honda Accord LX front-wheel drive lease for just $270 a month. Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. I hope your Friday is going well as you get ready for a long weekend. Alan is cooking breakfast at the campground, listening to Indiana Sports Beat. I forget where he is. Are you at Patoka? I forget where he goes. Nice weekend. Well, I don't know if the weather's going to hold out, but it's going to be kind of cool this weekend. It's been a weird spring here in Indiana, central southern Indiana. Never got too terribly warm. Then it got kind of hot the other day. Now it's getting back down. So can't complain too much, I guess. But I wish this weekend the rain would go out and the sun would come along. But it's going to do what it's going to do. I hope you guys are having a good time no matter what and have good plans. I'm just going to play it by ear and just roll with the flow. Going to watch some racing on Sunday for certain, as the Indianapolis 500 blackout has been lifted. So we'll get to watch that, the NASCAR race, and whatever else we can squeeze in. Indiana has a 3-game series with Maryland in baseball this weekend. That is extraordinarily important. Indiana is kind of on the borderline, I think. They're listed as one of the last to get in right now, but that will go as this series goes. And it's not going to be easy. Maryland's second place in the Big Ten. So a little disappointing. I don't want to call it a disappointing season for Indiana. It was a disappointing middle. That 4-game series, they lost to Ohio State. They'd lost to Illinois before that. So they lost those 5 straight they lost, just killed them. But hopefully they can get it back, and they got a shot this weekend and then move on to NCAA tournament play. There will not be a Big Ten tournament this year. So they're going to see if they can squeeze in and where they will end up. Hopefully make it in, but they just haven't had the bats this year. So not sure where that came from, but I thought that they were going to have a better season than they have. But it is what it is. Gives us basketball this summer to look forward to, AAU, which it's going to be interesting to see how those rules relax. Major League Baseball has announced that it's full, it's open, complete. Come on in. Welcome back. Of course, there'll be rules and all of that, but they're back, full attendance. Things are slowly getting back to normal. The dates, they're announcing the dates when they'll open. It's just nice to see. It's weird it's taken this long. None of us could have imagined. So that's crazy. Looking forward to talking to Brian Evans, probably in the next segment. Nick Coffey is going to join us in the segment after that as well. So, but yeah, baseball is fun to get back to. That's a sport that it has its core, but the fringe, when you break those fringe elements, they find other things to do. And that's why that is dangerous for those sports to lose that audience in addition to the money. Yesterday, I talked about Indiana football. The first game is against Idaho, the first home game. Matter of fact, let's bring that up. I was talking about the schedule that was announced yesterday for at least the first 5 games with dates, times, and TV. Of course, the first game is on the road at Iowa. And that game is going to be played on the Big Ten Network, 3:30 afternoon tilt on September 4th. So big opening Saturday for Indiana at Iowa. That's going to be a gigantic opening game. I mean, it's going to be one of the bigger games in the country. If not, I have to look at the schedule, but there's a top 15 matchup at the very least. Then the following week, you got Idaho coming in, who Idaho is, they're no slouch. It's a Petrino coach team. Then, that game is at 7:30. That's a home game, 7:30 night game. That game should be filled. That stadium should be packed. I don't care that it's against Idaho. You only hold 50,000 people. That stadium should be packed. You've been shut out of sports for 2 years. That'll be on the Big Ten Network. The following week, September 18th, at home against Cincinnati. That should be a top 10 matchup. That's going to be on ABC or ESPN, and that stadium should absolutely be rocking. No reason it shouldn't be. The following week, they have another home game, 3 straight home games. The Sparty comes in. That's a noon game. Cincinnati's a noon game. Sparty's a noon game. Should be packed. You're playing Sparty. That's a Big Ten East opponent. You've got to win that game. Then their 5th game, they will go on the road to Maryland for another noon game. So first game's at 3:30. Second game's a night game at home at 7:30. And then 3 straight noon games. But Indiana could be 5-0. They could be 4-1. They could be 3-2 with this schedule. I expect them to be 5-0. I think they're going to go to Iowa, win that game, come back, win those 3 home games, and win on the road at Maryland, be 5-0 at this time. But you have to be if you're going to be a team that wants to compete in the Big Ten East. And I expect that they will do. They don't have street. That's right. Well, why is – you're correct, John. Well, you could have said that on the air. Yeah, the WKU game. Why is that not listed on here? They just haven't set the game?
It's because they announced it a couple days before.
Well, why didn't they include that in this? That's stupid.
I don't know. I think that's pretty ridiculous myself. But I was wanting to say something. I was like, I don't think he realizes.
Well, it must be. It's the 4th game because that's the game that's missing.
It's right after. I think it's after
Cincinnati. Yeah, that's the week that's missing. And then is there a bye week? Then there must be a bye week.
Yeah, they have a pretty early bye week. I don't know if it's week 5 or week 6, but I know they take it a little bit early.
But that would make them 6-0. But Indiana, at the very least, should be 5-1. But I expect them to be 6-0 after their first 6 games. But there you go. There's that schedule. But good having those times out. You can make plans. Anybody planning on going to Iowa? You planning on going to that Iowa game? Some true football. There will be. I know people that go there. Go to these road games. And that's a hell of a game to go to. You're talking about a traditional IU or a Big Ten opponent. You've got the Children's Hospital above with the wave in the third quarter. That's very special. But it's going to be most importantly, that's going to be one of the most important games of the season because it sets the tone. You're starting their season on the road and in the Big Ten against a top 15 opponent. If you start your season on the road in the Big Ten with a top 15 win, that's a pretty good omen, but we'll see. Let's see over here. Oh, yeah. Talking about the weather earlier. Chris said, just wait and it'll change. Of course, that is true. Tim left the campground, had breakfast at Bojangles this morning. Well, that's cheating. You can't go camping and then go someplace to eat. That kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? I made my own breakfast. Looking forward to Brian Evans joining us. We are going to talk about his sleep clinic. Who was it that said that? Tony says Aurora Sleep is Brian's new sleep business. He co-founded with Steve Green, the first IU recruit by Bob Knight. I'm going to go. I'm telling him, I'm going to talk to him about this. I'm going to go up there and do that. And I'm going to do the show one morning live after being in there all night. That'll be funny. I told him before, we're going to get that set up. I don't know why we haven't got that done yet. Let's see. NBA, the playoffs. Are you keeping up with that? Someone asked me last night. I said, I haven't. The Pacers aren't in it, and I just been enjoying the relaxing and not having to. The Lakers beat the Suns 109-95. They're up 2-1 in that series. You've got I've not kept up with it, I'll be honest with you, in the slightest this week. I've just taken the time to do what I wanted to do. Mike says this is the coldest Indy 599 ever. I don't remember that race. Just kidding. The coldest Indy 500 ever was 92, the Wreck Fest. Temperatures that morning at 48 degrees. This Sunday is expected to be down to 44. No wind issues, but the temps cause problems again, possibly. Yeah, what he's talking about is the track. If the track does not get warm, the tires can't get warm. It's a slicker track, or maybe it's sometimes the conditions of the track change everything. They've got to alter the air pressure, sometimes the type of tires, which I don't know that that's a possibility. But yeah, that's not 44. Wow. So that track is not going to get very warm very fast. That caused problems. It was a few years ago in the NASCAR race. They had a horrific race with tires, not to do with temperature. I forget what caused it, but they kept falling apart. And it was just horrible. And what NASCAR had to deal with. Mike talked about Guerrero crashed on the pace laps. It's the power in these cars. It's immense, and you have to have the traction. You have to have the grip. To go around, I was watching one of Dale Jr.'s downloads last night, and then he was talking to a guy, and he was talking about Dale Jr. was talking about his first time at Talladega, and his dad was telling him, you got to go down, and you cannot lift. He means off the accelerator, and he's like, "What?" He's like, "How's that thing that's not going to fly off the track?" And so he did it. He said, but it takes your breath away. And so if you can imagine these guys when they're first doing this, how it takes their breath away because they're not lifting off the accelerator at 200 miles an hour going into what looks to them as a straight left turn. Think about that. Yeah. And so if you can imagine them saying it took their breath away, imagine what that would be like. But I got to tell you, I would certainly love to experience that. I would like to do, first of all, I'd like to do the NASCAR experience first, because would be, if I was going to drive, that would be my preference. I would love to drive those cars. I'm not going to lie. The Indy cars are a little scary because the extra speed, they get up there a little faster. I think in NASCAR you got a little more margin for error. Even if you get loose, you seem like you feel like you get a little more protection, a little better opportunity of saving it. I don't know, but man, I would certainly love to do that. I wish they had a place for people to race each other. I know you can do those experiences. Yeah, I would like to do Mike says they have a 2-seater Indy car. I would love to do that. Now, normally I can't stand for somebody else to be in control of something like that. That would be the only thing, the Indy car. I would like for somebody to take me around in an Indy car at top speed, because that would be freaking immense. Yeah, I would love to do that. NASCAR, I'd rather take it myself and have others on the track. But I'm surprised they have those NASCAR experiences all over the place. I'm surprised they don't have one up in Indianapolis. I'm shocked that there's not one permanently here at the world headquarters of racing. Hey, we got to take a break. More coming up. Brian Evans is going to join us, as is Nick Coffey later. So stick around. We'll be back with more.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fan.
If Brian doesn't join, do you want me to tell Nick he can come early or no?
Well, if Nick, I didn't think Nick could come early.
Well, his show ends at 10. I told him 10:15 because to give him time to decompress from his show if he needed to.
How you looking?
Let me go ahead and send you the link.
You didn't send it to him yet?
No, Brian has it. I'm talking about Dick.
Dun 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 dun. Kentucky Speedway has a NASCAR experience.
I've been to the one in Daytona, but I haven't driven the car. This was when I was younger. You just got to go in the infield and stuff.
That's funny. They're expensive as shit. Those things are freaking expensive.
I'm really surprised they don't have one at
well, they have one at Kentucky Speedway, so.
But Indianapolis is one of the largest sports venues in the world.
Yeah, but it's not. It's too big of a track. It's 2.5 miles. It's not. That takes too long. It's. Yeah, that's not like for NASCAR. That's not a great venue.
I got you. That makes sense.
Especially for rookies. I tell you where I tell you where they should have one is at frickin' Salem, Indiana.
In Salem?
Well, they got a half-mile track there that's got like 30-degree banking on it.
They might as well come down to Jeff and do the sports drome.
Well, that doesn't have the banking.
I know. I'm just being stupid.
Salem is a really high bank. You can, with the banking, you go faster. $165. That's it.
Oh. All right. We're about 40 seconds out. If Brian doesn't join, do you want me to ask Nick if he can come early, or do you want me to just wait?
You can ask him to come early because that means Brian will be late.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm going to bring us back. If he's able. I don't know if I'll text you if he's able.
Sam's Restaurant in Fishers has homemade coffee cakes and much more. Sam's Place in Broad Ripple has wings, tender steaks, and seafood. Sam's Ale House in Carmel and on 86th Street in Indy have a long list of craft beers and all of the right foods to go with. Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Oh, how's everybody doing? I hope you are ready for a holiday weekend. I am certainly ready for that. We've got races, the Indianapolis 500, but cold temperatures and the effects that might have on the race, because that cold track is going to make things difficult. They've got to get the tires heated up, deposit rubber on the track, and then they kind of build it up. But you can't get that with cold temperatures. Let's see. Yeah, I think they should have a NASCAR experience in Salem. That would be cool. Tim says that was only $165 to do that. But Mike says it's if you want to just get your cheap one, just put your seatbelts on tight and get around 465 around Indianapolis. That would be bad. Mike, what a fan experience and way to draw fans if Indy did have an experiencer. Yeah, I think so. It would be fun. I don't know. It's just that track is not meant for that. It's just not. I don't think it's built for people to do that. Because it's just that track is built for speed, and it's just simply built for speed. The way it's set up, it's not really a NASCAR track. They have a race there because of the tradition and all of that. But yeah, man, I think they should have one in Salem, down in Salem, Indiana. You got a half-mile track there that's high banked. It's very similar, like Tim said, to Bristol. Boy, you could have some fun on that sucker. Man, oh man, you could have some fun. But looking forward to this weekend and getting out and doing a lot of nothing, to be honest with you. Always go to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. If you've missed any previous shows, everything is there on video form. You can listen to it or however, but it's all there listed and laid out for you. And make sure if you're looking for a car, you get over to Andy Moore. Andy Moore Honda always has the great deals going, which I'm going to be visiting him soon, as a matter of fact, on that. Indiana baseball has got a 3-game series with Maryland this weekend that is critical for the Hoosiers if they are going to make the NCAA tournament. Athlon has released its all Big Ten conference team. And Indiana has put 10 players on that. 10. Did you hear that number? 10. Quarterback Michael Penix was named to the first team offensive unit. Linebacker Micah McFadden and quarterback Tywan Mullen named to the first team defensive unit. And Charles Campbell earned first team specialist as a kicker. Indiana, 4 first team players. 4. Let that sink in. Wide receiver Ty Freifogel and tight end Peyton Hendershot were the only 2 Hoosiers named to the second team offense. Surprised Peyton Hendershot didn't get first. Safety Devon Matthews and quarterback Jalen Williams also named to the third team on defense. Grad transfer DJ Matthews, who transferred in from Florida State, made the third team specialist team as a punt returner, although he is a wide receiver as well. Offensive lineman Caleb Jones named to the fourth team offensive squad. Indiana kicks off its season September 4th, as I said, at Iowa, who had 11 players selected. So there's that first game, man. You've got 21 players selected from the Athlon, all Big Ten teams playing in that game. But Indiana getting 11 players named by Athlon. That's probably a record. 4 first-teamers? You'd have to go back, but man, that you'd think that might have to be a record. It's just going to be exciting. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to this offense. Just if they can, man, can you imagine watching this offense if Michael Penix stays healthy? You've got some new faces in the running back car. Not new faces in the other running backs, but they're going to get more exposure now, more opportunities because Stevie Scott is gone. Michael Penix, while he's been injured, he's still working on throws. And his throwing wasn't bad to begin with. So, man, yeah, it'll be here before you know it. but it's fun to talk about football in the spring. It's fun to have a reason to talk about football in the spring. That's usually not the case for Indiana. Are you planning your tailgating? Planning on doing some tailgating this year? I listed those games out. While that is one unfortunate thing about the schedule, if I could get back to that, wherever I had that thing pulled up. The Idaho game is going to be a great tailgate game. The Cincinnati game, it's a noon game, but it's a big, big game. You just got to get your butt up early and get out there. And then they're going to go to Western Kentucky, but you come back and have another noon game, but it's against Michigan State. It's a Big Ten game. Now these Big Ten games have started. So you're just going to have to get up and become big boys. If you want Indiana to be a big boy program, and you got to be a big boy tailgater and get out there and tailgate and then get your butt in the seats. Stop staying out in the stands, man. It's not a social scene. Come to the game, do all that stuff afterwards. Make it a complete day. That's what Indiana needs. I mean, they've done their part. Tom Allen has done his part. He's coached his butt off, recruited his butt off, got a great staff, and put a great team together, and is putting a good product on the field. The fans the fans have to do their part. What they've done is beyond incredible. All you have to do is buy a ticket and show up. Let's see. There you go. Joey says, puke and rally. Jim all night. Joey's going to pull an all-nighter. But yeah, it should be much. But winning it also brings happiness and more fun at these. And it should just bring everything. Everything should just grow. Growth brings growth. Growth brings growth. And that Iowa game, it's huge. If they win that game, it opens up the possibility to do some crazy things for Indiana. And I know it's not pipe dreamish, but going to Iowa alone is going to be a tough task because it will be packed. There will be fans, and there will be fans that want to win. And there will definitely be fans that want to beat Indiana because they know Indiana wants to beat Iowa, and they don't want to become the team that kind of, I don't want to say push them down a little bit and to Indiana, but this is the team Indiana needs to beat to show. They got rid of Michigan State. They've beaten Michigan, beaten Penn State. It's not that they haven't beaten Iowa, but to go to Iowa on the road, starting the season, ranked, that sends the message beyond messages that Indiana football has arrived. The Nebraska win a couple of years ago was nice. That was hard fought, and that was a mediocre Nebraska team. This is it's going to be a ranked Iowa team. This is a serious win if you can get it. It would be the biggest win in the Tom Allen era, without question. Only to have other opportunities in front of him to supersede that, not too far after that. But it would be bigger than beating Cincinnati at home, and Cincinnati will be ranked higher. But beating Iowa at Iowa when they're ranked, yeah, that'll be the biggest win in the Tom Allen era, and it could start the biggest season in Indiana football history. Could. They've got to beat the Rose Bowl team. But the possibility is there, but it's not as easy as – I'm not saying it's just going to be that easy. It's not. Fans in the stands have changed the game. Going to Iowa with fans, that's going to change everything. But does it mean anything? They've gone there and played. They've gone there and competed. They've gone to Michigan and competed. They've gone to Ohio State and competed. Penn State and competed. It's not – they can't do that. They can. But we'll see. It's going to be fun. Hey, we got to take a break. When we come back, I think Nick Coffey's going to join us from KRD in Louisville. And we'll talk about their situation, Dino Gardio, and also the Indy 500 versus the Kentucky Derby. The Derby's never blacked out. But stick around. We got a little bit more coming up. Back after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Great.
Whether you're looking for...
Thank you for the...
Hey, Nick.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, Nick. How are you, man? Nice to meet you.
I'm doing. Nice to meet you as well. How you guys doing?
Cannot complain.
That's good.
Same goes for me. Oh, you know Brian Evans is here too, Jim?
I did not.
He just popped in.
Stick him on. Let's say, Brian, how are you?
Hey. How's it going?
Cannot complain. Nick Coffey, Brian Evans, former IU basketball player. Nick Coffey is with KRD in Louisville.
Hey, Nick.
Nice to meet you.
What are you doing, Mr. Brian?
Hang on 1 second, boys.
Oh, you're good. How's it going with you, Nick?
I'm good. I was meant to tell you, you sold one of my favorite colleagues.
Who Aaron made us?
No, John.
He said stole. Stole.
Yeah.
I
appreciate that.
For the first time, I almost feel like I did steal somebody. I'm not going to lie. And I kind of feel bad about it.
Work with you guys. Yeah.
I kind of feel bad about it, but I don't.
It's a perfect fit for sure.
He's been great. It's a godsend.
Yeah, Nick, I told him that you referred to me as Crimson John on your show.
That's right.
John the producer. It's John the producer. Oh, yeah, it's John. I call him John the producer, like John the Baptist.
It works, too.
Brian, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain other than it's a rainy carb day. I'm getting ready to take my son down to the track. I wish it was a little bit nicer out.
Yeah, I wish I was there. I'm not. How much time we got left, John?
40 seconds. I'll go ahead and bring us back in.
Or Brian, do you if you want to call back in 10 minutes, or we can get you in 10 minutes if that would be easier.
I'm good. I mean, I'm good on.
Okay.
I can talk as long as you guys want me on here.
All right, bro. I love it.
You want him to drop out right now? Or what do you want him to do?
Nope. We're good.
Okay.
Bring it back.
It's fine. Bring us back.
Front-wheel drive lease for just $270 a month. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back on this holiday Friday. I hope you got great plans for the weekend. I hope the weather gets better. Joining us, Nick Coffey from KRD in Louisville, and the great Brian Evans, former Hoosier. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing well, guys. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Nick, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I wish we had better weather to get this holiday weekend started, but it's a 3-day weekend, so I'm not going to complain too much.
There's that. Yeah, absolutely. If you're down in southern Indiana, you probably recognize Nick's voice. Nick is on KRD in Louisville. They cover the Cardinals mostly. Familiar with him when I spent my time down there. But they've had we've talked a little bit about the issues they've dealt with this week with Dino Gaudio, and I think that's kind of going to wrap itself up. It seems so weird. It was such a weird thing because it's so unrelated to everything else. And for him, coming from who it came from, it was just such a shock.
Yeah, I couldn't have described it better as a shock. It's weird. It's, the jokes were there to be made as far as, oh, here we go. We're getting back to normal. Another scandal involving Louisville. But this one is just bizarre. And Dino is a guy who, and I'm sure you know this, Jimmy, I've never heard anybody say anything other than great things about him. I didn't know him personally, but to see the headline that he of all people is charged with federal extortion, just even to this point, it still doesn't seem real. And Chris Mack actually joined me on my show this morning and mentioned that he thinks Dino's a great coach and it wasn't really anything personal. He just wanted to go in a different direction. Now, he wasn't allowed to talk about specifically what went down, but I just can't imagine this was a one-off conversation that was being recorded that led to it getting to this point. I think it was probably some text messages he sent to some other people as well, and that it got reported to somebody, and the school felt it was serious enough to tell the authorities. And here we are. I don't know if he'll do jail time or whatnot, but it's one of those situations. I believe Chris Mack, and I don't want to speak for him, but he probably wishes he could talk more about it, because there are a lot of folks who think, okay, the guy was caught up in the heat of the moment and said some things he wanted to walk back. Did you really need to take it to that level? And this is just my opinion. I don't know this for fact, but I feel like it was more than just that, because I'm sure these kind of things happen more often than you'd imagine, but you rarely see it get to this point where a guy is being charged federally for extortion.
Yeah, unless it's like the White House and they record every conversation. The fact that they recorded the conversation, there had to be a reason for them to go that far, number one. And the fact that a second UofL coach is being extorted within a short period is mind-boggling. No relation whatsoever. It's just crazy how that has happened. But, yeah, Louisville just can't – it's like they can't get out of their own way, even though they had nothing to do with this. It's not a good look for them, that's for sure.
No, not at all. And you're right. They just can't get out of their own way. I mean, they're still recovering. I mean, this is something you would say to make fun of them, and I'm certainly not doing that. But their scandals are almost at times hard to keep up with. I mean, there are people who don't realize the potential punishment they're about to get from the FBI Brian Bowen thing is completely unrelated to what went on with the Minority Hall. I mean, it's just you're kind of numb to it, I think, as a Louisville fan now, because you've been going through it for so long. But you just want to be able to get this cloud removed from the program. And then this specific thing probably won't linger long. I think he's going to plead guilty in early June, and I doubt he'll do jail time, but I'm not sure. But the fact that you've had to wait, I mean, we're coming up on 4 years since the day college basketball was believed to be going to be turned upside down, which really didn't happen. But it's been 4 years, essentially, almost since Rick Pitino was let go, and you still have no punishment, no closure at all. And I think at this point, even just knowing what your punishment's going to be, at least get you a chance to shut the door a little bit.
Yeah, Brian, that stuff has been going on for all that time. Now we've got name, image, likeness and the transfer portal. And it's like the NCAA is so far behind, and the snowball is just going to run over top of them, which is no surprise. But I don't see how they get out of their way of this stuff. I don't know how the NCAA doesn't collapse. Brian?
I'm with you. I mean, I've been thinking the same thing. Like it just seems like they've turned into just a completely reactionary organization where it's almost, they're on skates, going backwards on skates downhill. And, the transfer portal, everybody, you're hearing all the coaches weigh in saying this is a complete disaster, right? It didn't make sense to me. I can't believe that they've said, okay, because of COVID, everyone can have another year. We played a full year. I mean, a lot of teams played a full schedule. How are you going to give everybody another year? You like this Bohannon kid coming back at Iowa. You're literally trashing the record books of the Big Ten by letting a guy play 5-6 years. It doesn't make any sense. And I think everything they do, they're just being reactionary, and the likeness and paying people or letting athletes get a little more than what they get today. They fought that for so long. I just think they missed the boat. I don't know how the thing could collapse and go away. I can't picture that world either. In the tournament not be an NCAA tournament. But guess what? There'd still be a tournament. You don't think smart people could step up and figure out a way to create an end-of-season tournament?
And run it right.
I mean, it can happen. Somebody's going to figure it out and is going to step up and do it. And if the NCAA continues to just make mistakes and be reactionary, everybody's going to be ready to jump. I mean, it's ABA, NBA, right? One of them is going to win out. And I think the NCAA has put themselves in a really weird spot.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm not picking on Louisville anyway. Just as an example, Nick, when this name, image, likeness stuff kicks in and all that, and players are really getting paid, it seems like it would be difficult for schools like Louisville who have been getting in trouble to, I don't know, navigate that. Because we don't know how anybody's going to navigate it because it's such a freaking mystery.
Yeah, I think for Louisville, they're playing. I mean, until this latest, as you mentioned, they really didn't do anything. I mean, they just had a coach that made a huge mistake and was essentially an idiot. But I think Chris Mack has always planned to sell Louisville as, yes, there's some things that, I mean, everything they're still potentially going to be punished for or things that he had nothing to do with and no involvement in. And I think that still sells. But what you worry about is, even if that's the case, have you lost so much momentum due to just lack of success to where even that won't matter to people? Because Louisville basketball has a lot to sell as a program, fan base. I mean, they are the pro team here in town. That's no secret. But you missed the tournament last year. I mean, you haven't made a deep run in the tournament since 2015. And the longer you go with that gap, the tougher you are going to have as far as selling Louisville as what it once was. And that's why I think this is such a big year for them, because they need some kind of momentum. And, I think the roster is set up to where they could have a solid team, but is it one that could really do something that is big picture in the grand scheme of college basketball as far as a tournament run? I don't know. But, the name, image, and likeness thing is, I think the NCAA, as you guys have both alluded to, I think they fought this for so long. I'm with Brian. I don't think this thing will ever just eventually collapse, but we may see a point where college basketball is just a different world, and it's essentially just a different level of, I guess, lower level pro basketball. But you're right. Anybody would pick this thing up, make it a TV event, make buku dollars because it works. The proof is there. The NCAA is almost not worthy of the product they have when it comes to college basketball.
No, and then they give Muppet Mark Emmert a raise and extension, which was nuts. But so yeah, and the name, image, likeness, that brings up a whole nother thing. And I'll ask both of you, because right now there are 6 states that have passed legislation that goes into effect July 1st, which means their athletes can start making money legally July 1st, and there's nothing to stop them. There's nothing the NCAA can do. What in the hell is going to happen to college athletics with just some states having it and some not? How are they going to be stopped? Brian, I mean, you were a former athlete in college. I mean, if there was a state that was offering you a scholarship, say Illinois had it and Indiana didn't, and they were saying, hey, you can get a deal set up here, would that have changed where you went, especially someone like you are from Terre Haute, close to Illinois? Would that have in any way changed where you went?
It's hard to put myself in that mindset. I'll just be honest, but I can't say yes. I mean, I think no. I wanted to play for Bob Knight. I wanted to play at Indiana, where the history and tradition of my heart was. I can't see having changed that. Chasing money as a 17 or 18-year-old kid. So much has changed. In 30 years, these kids certainly thinking like I was thinking back then, but everything changed. I don't want to blame the student athletes. I'm sitting there thinking what kind of marketing campaign to run for myself and shopping myself around, doing carpet commercials, flooring commercials. I mean, HVAC. I'd have deals set up all over the place.
Be on a camel
contract. Exactly.
And Nick, as well, I know you got to go, but what's coming up next for you? I know we have a lot of listeners in Southern Indiana. Make sure you catch Nick on KRD down there. He's on 7 to 10. What's the numbers? 790?
Yes, sir. 790 WKRD. And I think with essentially the summer getting started with this holiday weekend, I think we really start to shift gears more towards football. There was big news from the University of Louisville yesterday. Like a lot of other schools, they are going to have 100% capacity, and kind of like with the basketball program, the football program, the same can be said. It's a big year, an overachieving year one for Scott Satterfield, a very underachieving year two. So I would say with the summer getting started here, we're going to shift gears and try to figure out what expectations should be.
Yeah, and Indiana having high expectations as well, and those two teams will play in the future. Looking forward to that happening.
No doubt about it. They got a lot of momentum in football, as much as I can remember in my years covering sports, for sure.
Nick, I can't thank you enough, man. Make sure if you're in Southern Indiana, you catch him on the KRD in Louisville at 790 a.m. And Nick, thank you. So I look forward to talking to you again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim.
You betcha. And we've got Brian Evans on here. We're going to take a quick break. And hey, how's the sleep clinic going, Brian?
It's going great. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of people, and we're just kind of now getting the word out. But the response has been fantastic, and we sense there's been a lot of word of mouth. So that's what you want, right? Those are the best referrals are coming from word of mouth. And so as we spend some money, marketing, getting our name out there, the great thing is that the people that have visited us have had success and have gone on to tell more people, and so that's a big sign and of early success for us. So we're having fun. It's been exciting.
Yeah, I'm serious. I'm going to come up and do the overnight thing and then do a show immediately afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? Anybody that's out there that's ever been diagnosed with sleep apnea and is not in love with their CPAP, which is you're not alone. I don't think anybody's really in love with it. Come see us. And anybody that's struggling with snoring and daytime sleepiness, anybody that's disrupting their bed partner's sleep because of their snoring, come see us at Aurora.
Let's take a quick break and we'll talk a couple of minutes about that. But I got to get a fast break in, and then we'll talk just a few more minutes about that and get you out of here.
Do it. All right, buddy.
Okay, we're clear. All right, we're back. Yeah, where do you just have the one location, Brian? Do y'all just have the one location?
We do right now. So we're on the north side, in between the. Yep, we do. We're just in between the Keystone and Castleton Mall. We're about a half mile down the road from the Apple Store.
Cool. And what does it entail? A session? Someone comes in and spends the night? How does that work?
No. So you come in and we could do a number of things. Anybody that's snoring and wants to move forward and we can make them a custom-made oral device in a 30 to 45-minute session, and they walk out the door with it and are sleeping that evening. So it's an oral device that opens your airway at night. It holds your lower jaw in a slightly forward position, like keeping your airway open. So if somebody comes in and wants to know if they have sleep apnea, we can help them get a diagnosis. So they'll have an overnight sleep test at their house. It's a piece of cake. It's not like it was where you're going into the hospital setting and they get hired, hooked up to a bunch of leads. It's not like that. It's a really simple at-home sleep test. You wear almost the equivalent of a pulse oximeter on your finger overnight, and it can read your oxygen levels. We assist in that process. So if somebody wants a diagnosis of, do I have sleep apnea? If so, how severe is it? We can do a home sleep test. We get a lot of people that come in and say, you know what? I know that I snore. I probably have some sleep apnea. It could be mild to moderate, but I'm ready for advice. We take care of those people every day. We get people all the time that have already been diagnosed with sleep apnea and are just not happy with a CPAP. That form of therapy it's challenging. It's cumbersome. It's loud. You got to spend a lot of time cleaning it. It's expensive. So we get a lot of people that have sleep apnea. Yeah, embarrassing, and they don't want it. They don't want to wear it anymore. I call it a life sentence. it's you're going to have that thing for the rest of your life, whether you like it or not. So oral device therapy is absolutely an alternative, and we've just got a ton of success stories. Dr. Green's been at it for 15 years, and he's an expert in the space. So feel awfully confident anybody that comes in, we can help them.
I'm definitely going to, I haven't been diagnosed, but I've had some friends that are doctors that I were out on weekend trips with. And one night he said, dude, I thought you died like 10 times last night. So I think I'm diagnosed, undiagnosed, but I'm definitely going to come up and get that done. And so I can talk a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, you know what, Jim? 80 to 90% of the people that have sleep apnea are undiagnosed, so you're not alone. And if people have that, if that's been the feedback, when sleeping near you, that you sounded like you stopped breathing, that's sleep apnea, and it's a serious thing. And so we can help you. And as soon as your schedule clears, come in and see us. And then we get you talking about it and sharing your experience on the air.
Absolutely. Going to do it, man. What do you have coming up for the big weekend? It's got going out to Carb Day. Forgot about that Carb Day going on. A little rainy out there for that, unfortunately. And I think we may have lost Brian. I'll give him a call back. But that's going to wrap it up for us today. I can't thank him enough. If you have any problems, just go to aurorasleep.com. Let me spell it right. ARORA, Specialty Sleep Clinic. Aurorasleep.com. Hey, it was fun. It was Friday, so you're off. We're off. Go enjoy your long weekend. Thank you so much. Without you guys, there's no point for us. Thanks to Alec Lasley. Thanks to Nick Coffey. And, of course, to our good friend Brian Evans. But most importantly, thanks to you guys. We appreciate you. And go out. Hey, Brian, is that you?
Yeah. I don't know what happened there.
I was just thanking everybody. I didn't want to leave it. What do you got? Going out to Carb Day?
Gonna go hit Carb and then head out, chilling out the rest of the weekend, doing nothing. How about you?
Same exact thing. Most of just the chilling out part. I've got my daughter has a graduation party tonight that I have to drive to, but other than that, that's it for the weekend. Well, buddy, I hope you have a great one. I cannot thank you enough. It's always a pleasure, and I look forward to it.
Thanks, buddy. Anytime, man. Sorry I was on there late. Had a coffee meeting. I appreciate you.
You're the best. Brian Evans joins us here, and you guys go out. Have a great weekend. Until Monday, I'm Jim Coyle. I'll see you on the radio.